So the question for me, the question of why I'm doing this is really to look at what is driving innovation or what we can do to drive innovation. What happens is it's trying to figure out what's going on next. And one thing that I've always done in my entire career is about every 5 years, I end up doing an analysis of where things are in the industry, in technology, and figuring out what to do next based on that. And I do it in a fairly rigorous fashion, although sometimes it doesn't feel very rigorous. I do some analysis and modeling around things like technology, market, business climate, and use that modeling to do some prediction and then try to describe what is going to happen next. So my last 5-year cycle, beginning of the last 5-year cycle, David Carver and I, sitting up there, decided that it was time to do internet video. And so we started a company to build internet video servers. And at a time when YouTube didn't exist even. And interestingly, one of the things that we had in our plan at that point, this was now in 2004, we began talking with VCs in the area, and one of the things in the plan was to have a video gallery. What we would do is we'd take these high-performance video servers that we were building and just put them on the internet and let people put their own videos on it. Like Johnny's birthday party, stupid dog tricks, and universally all the VCs said, what a stupid idea, take that out of the thing. Now of course, YouTube started a little bit after that, but it was a kind of a harbinger of some of the issues that we're going to talk about here. Now, in previous 5-year cycles, I've always worked kind of nationally and internationally, and it hasn't been an issue that I was headquartered in Boston. And what I've been noticing in the last 5-year cycle and now is that all of a sudden it's becoming an issue being in Boston. So I'm trying to figure out what is really the root causes of those and what we can do to fix that. Now, some of the stuff that I'm going to present is going to be a little bit depressing. So I'll warn you about that up front. But what we really need to do is to look at what the actual data says so that we can figure out what to do to change that. So I actually look at this as being optimistic, to actually identifying what the root causes are and figuring out what to change. Headed towards doing an IPO, and their investors said, no, we don't want to wait around for that. We're going to sell them to Amazon. And the management of the company was not very happy. They wanted to build and grow a self-sufficient company, and instead they were prettied up and sold to Amazon. So like the kinds of things that we think are not good here, they're appearing that Silicon Valley is adopting the same not good practices.
I didn't know Zappos was owned by Amazon.
There's also a lot of difference between old think and new think. One of the things that is my pet peeve is this waterfall versus agile development environment. I've been working in innovative projects my entire career, and I always have used development methodology that was more agile, that would now be called agile, rather than some traditional development methodology. And I think that we get hung up in development methodologies. There's much more of an orientation in this area to use a traditional waterfall development methodology than to use some of the agile methodologies. One of the things that has occurred recently is that now agile has actually become more popular worldwide than waterfall. And I haven't been able to figure out what the relationship in Massachusetts is. Also, there's somewhat of an old-boy network as opposed to a social network that exists in different environments. Again, I think that Silicon Valley is getting its own set of old-boy networks that are establishing, so they may be losing some of their luster. And there's much more of a meritocracy I see in a technical environment. Engineers want to collaborate. They want to treat each other based on what they can do, what they can accomplish, what they know, as opposed to who they know and where they are in some kind of a hierarchical structure. And another key is whether people celebrate technology. I think I didn't think this was a problem at the time, but I kind of look back at this. The fact that the Computer Museum moved from Boston, Silicon Valley, to San Jose, I think was a bad thing. I think it was a bad thing for the Boston area because that acted as a way to celebrate the technical heritage of this area. And it's really hard to do that. We have the museum in Waltham that tries to celebrate some of the heritage of innovation in Massachusetts, but we're missing this era when the Boston area is very strong. And when you look at sort of lists of people that are important in the various areas, in Silicon Valley, you come up with people like Eric Schmidt, who's a technologist, Sergey Brin, Larry Page, Jerry Yang, and these are all technologists. They're not lawyers, they're not MBAs, they're not CEOs. Eric Schmidt is CEO. And when you try to come up with that list in the Boston area, who are some of the top technologists in the Boston area? It's a question for you to answer. Who? Okay. People know who he is? How many people know who he is?
Bill Warner.
How many people know who Bill Warner is? How many people outside of this room do you think know who Bill Warner is? So,
Okay.
So do you notice what's happening? These are two people that you said are major technologists. Most people in this room don't know. Tom Leighton. How many people know Tom Leighton? Okay, Tom Leighton is the founder of Oculus. So the founder of the most successful internet era company in the Boston area is unknown to us. So we're not celebrating technology. Something else is going on. So we need to figure out how to do that.
Is what you're saying, like, in other words, we don't have a Steve Jobs here like they do out there, kind of?
I think Steve Jobs is kind of a special case. Steve Jobs is primarily a marketing person. Now, he does very good with technology, and it's not that I have anything against marketing people.
Yeah.
So I think Steve Jobs is kind of an exception. What we don't have is the next round of people. We have a Steve Leighton in this area, and people don't know who he is. And the other founder of Akamai, Tom Leighton's graduate student, is Dan Lewin. Dan Lewin died on one of the 9/11 aircraft. But people don't know who Dan Lewin is.
We have MIT. We have MIT, which is global.
We do. Yeah. Yeah, and that's in the education sector. I was talking with a professor friend of mine at MIT, and I asked her where graduate students go. She graduated 50 graduate students in the last several years. 4 are in New England. The rest are almost all in